Meet Phynova Group's VP for APAC, Wouter Claerhout, and Head of Science, Andrew Gallagher. They're here to reveal how a single plant extract can tackle the root cause of high blood sugar.
Remember the journey of your food? It prevents 100% conversion of your food into glucose. Well, it continues the journey down in your small intestine. What signal do you think the brain receives when about 25% of your carbohydrates arrive there in an undigested form? What happens to that food? We have turned your food into a more fiber-rich version of your food.
Eat less, exercise more. The problem is those two things are very difficult to actually do when you're overweight, because your hormones are also out of balance. When these hormones are out of balance, your body isn't processing food properly, which really goes to the heart of why the person put on weight in the first place.
Remember the journey of your food. Remember what it does. It prevents the conversion of your food, or the 100% conversion of your food into glucose. Well, the rest of the story is actually a cascade effect that Reducose has triggered. What happens to that food? Well, it continues the journey down in your small intestine. Well, when it then arrives in the lower part of your small intestine, this part is called the ileum. You know, the ileum is where your mobile phone signal sits to your brain, telling your brain, hello, I'm hungry, or hello, I'm full. What signal do you think the brain receives when about 25% of your carbohydrates arrive there in an undigested form? It is as if we have turned your food into a very fiber-rich meal. Fibers, everybody know, very good for you. Unfortunately, our processed foods have been emptied of the fiber. We make your own foods, the foods you love to eat on a daily basis, a better version of those foods, a more fiber-rich version of your foods. Well, I use the metaphor of the mobile phone signal, but what really happens in the body is you get satiety signals going to your brain, telling your brain, no need to snack, no need to eat, I'm happy, I can bridge between main meals. One of those satiety signals is GLP-1. We will stimulate with Reducose, thanks to your own food that has become resistant to digestion, we will increase GLP-1 by about 70%.
When they want to lose weight, naturally, we're going to be that sort of the help which you need to stick to the diet. Because that's the, as I said, eat less, exercise more, it's a simple equation. But when you're eating less, you don't always want to be thinking about food. So having those elevated GLP-1s turns off that appetite. But we're doing it within normal physiological ranges, which also can be regulated by your body, the fasting GLP-1. And that GLP-1 is really going to be helping with blood glucose management, because that's the initial thing which GLP-1 does. It tells your pancreas, food's coming, you need to make insulin. To be able to regulate appetite, you need elevated GLP-1 in between the meals. So the only way we stimulate them at a high enough level is we need to get resistant starches, fibers, beyond the point of digestion to be able to stimulate them. And this is what Reducose is doing. We're increasing that in-between meal GLP-1. And that really is the most important thing, because losing weight, if you break it down to an equation, it's pretty simple. Eat less, exercise more. The problem is those two things are very difficult to actually do when you're overweight, because your hormones are also out of balance. Insulin is really fundamental to this. I mentioned the other ingredients which stimulate insulin. Insulin's a storage hormone. It pushes calories into storage. So if you're trying to lose weight, you need to make sure you're not spiking your insulin, because it's pushing all those calories into fat storage almost immediately. You want a low insulin response. You need insulin sensitivity, because this also is really intrinsic into why it's quite difficult to eat less and exercise more, because when these hormones are out of balance, your body isn't processing food properly. And GLP-1, that's going to help with eating less and not feeling hungry in between meals. But we're hitting a lot of these other hormones, increasing the insulin sensitivity, which really goes to the heart of why the person put on weight in the first place. So if you can correct that, then you can eat less, you can exercise more, and you can lose weight naturally, which is really what we want.